pastor, I've been here 2 years as the senior pastor, 1 year as the associate. And one man in particular stands out to me that has gone through the fires and the heartbreaks of life and has stood firm. And he let nothing move him, as Paul would say in 1 Corinthians 15. He stood the test. And I wanted him to come and share with you all, to inspire you, to encourage you, to hear his story. That this Christian thing isn't just for wimpy guys. You have to be tough to be a Christian. You understand that? So I'm going to have the tough man, Mr. Bob Cannon. So check Bob.
You know, I've been coming to a lot of these men's ministries, and this is like the biggest group I've ever seen here. And if it's because you guys want to hear me speak, I'm just joking. I really am. I really appreciate every one of you guys coming out. My favorite verse in the Bible is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I just learned that verse a couple of years ago. And that in itself is truly amazing, because 11 years ago, May of 2004, I walked into a rehab, and prior to walking into that rehab, in my perception of life, there was no such thing as God, the devil, hell, heaven, none of that. I believed in none of it. If you said the word God in my presence, I walked away. I didn't want to hear it. There was no such thing. You're a fool if you think that God is the creator of everything. I wasn't buying it. I walked into a rehab. In the first couple of days, all I heard was, time and time again, was, you need to get a higher power. You need to find a God of your understanding. You need to have a higher power. And I wasn't buying it. I said, you know what, I want to get clean, and I'll do absolutely everything they tell me to do, but I'm not putting God in the mix. There is no such thing. If I need a higher power, my higher power is this building and the people in it. A higher power is something greater than yourself. And at that time, something greater than myself was the rehab and the people in it, the counselors and the other drug addicts that were in there. And when I walked in there, I was hopeless. I was a $1,000 a day cocaine addict.
Wow.
I was done. I was ready. So I had to find something. So my higher power was that building. I kept reading everything I could read. I was soaking in everything. Books and pamphlets and everything. And I kept saying, you got to get a God of your understanding. You need to get a God of your understanding. And it was like pounding on me because I didn't believe in God. So that was like really boom, boom, booming. So I was in my room one night and I'm reading, I don't know if it was God himself to put the thought into my head or I just gave in. For the very first time in my life, I prayed. I got down on my knees next to my bed, and I felt like an idiot getting on my knees. But that's what they say, that's what you're supposed to do. Why, I don't know. But okay, I did it. And it was a very simple prayer. God, please help me change. Amen. That was it. And my spiritual journey started the next day. You know, a lot of people wait to see their burning bush, or they don't recognize it. It might be there and they don't see it. But mine was the very next morning. I was on my way to breakfast, which in rehab, that was my favorite time of the day. For some reason, I liked the food. Nobody else did. I would get extra breakfast because nobody wanted to eat all of it. So I'm walking down to breakfast, and I'm halfway down the stairwell, and I stopped on the landing. Up the steps. Down the steps. Why am I in the stairwell? I take an elevator. I was up on the 3rd floor. I'm on the elevator every morning. For some reason this morning I was not on an elevator. I was on the stairwell. I don't take very many stairwells. I stood there for about 5 minutes trying to wonder why I'm there. Why am I in this stairwell? What brought me to this stairwell? And the only answer I could come up with was God showed me there's another way.
Wow.
And from that day on, I never took another elevator in that building. For 5 years, the first 5 years of my recovery, I went to that building to speak once a month. Every month, I never missed a month. I run a meeting in there, and I never once used an elevator. That stairwell was my salvation. Now, of course, I had to ask somebody who believed in all this, so why do we got to get on our knees? What's the deal with that? And it's because you have to humble yourself. You have to show God that He is greater than you. You need to humble yourself to Him. I'll buy that.
Okay.
I'll go with that. And ever since then I have. And I'll tell you, the blessings are just phenomenal. You know, the first few years, well, a lot of them, the years of my recovery, I prayed. I tried to start reading the Bible. Didn't work out so well. Couldn't get through all the names. Begat. I couldn't even read the names, let alone go through the whole list of names. That was where I'd give up. Didn't want to get through. I'm like, is this the whole book? Is this what this is? Can't hang like this. So, but I still prayed. I prayed when I went to bed. I prayed when I got up. I prayed when I ate. Sometimes when I ate, when I remembered. And I just didn't break the law anymore. I tried to live not illegally. Not so much not immorally. Still wasn't quite there. I was still chasing women, swearing like a trucker, the whole works. Just being a man. What I thought was being a man.
Yeah.
And probably after about 5 years-ish, I tried to start finding a church. I felt like maybe I should start going to church. I want to pray to God, and maybe I should try to get to know Him a little bit. And the only way to do that is to go to church. And at the time I had severe sleep apnea. And every church I went to, I would fall asleep. So I just thought I was bored. I didn't realize it was the apnea. I'm getting maybe 4 minutes out of an hour-long sermon. This isn't working. You know, I'm looking like an idiot. So I kind of gave up on the church for a minute. And I kept praying. And apparently, God has a master plan for me. Oh, and by the way, I mean, if I run a little over, if you guys have to leave at 7:30 or whatever, just feel free, because I may run a little over. Excuse me, but sometimes I'm
You're good, Bob. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I got like an hour. Blessings are long, man. I got to my car and get that score. Anyways, where was I? I forgot. Apparently God had a master plan, and God knew what was in my future. And He needed to prepare me.
Amen.
And the only way to prepare me, basically, is really to slap me in the head. Because I am stubborn, and I can be selfish at times. I don't know if it's just the man in me, or if that's just the kind of person I am. So, 3.5 years ago, I get off work one day with a really big fat paycheck. And I turned off my phone. I drove over to the Hill District. I found a group of guys on the corner. I pulled up with my car and I cashed my check instead of depositing it. So I've got a knot. I just pull up to the crowd and I said, "Give me a double." I said, "Where the money?" I stuck the money right here. You saw where I put it. And he handed me. I go around the corner to an alleyway. Now, mind you, it's still daylight. It just overwhelmed me to do this. I went into an alleyway. I couldn't wait. I was very anxious. I went into an alleyway. And all the windows are down in the car, of course, because it's a warm day. And I proceeded to take a hit. I took a second hit. And just as I did, 4 guys come up to the car, one at each door. And one on the driver's side, of course, he had a a very large knife, and he said, give us the money. There you go. Not a word spoken. Handed them the money, and they just casually walked away. They didn't run or nothing. They knew I wasn't going to call the cops. They just walked away. God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. Ironically, at that exact time, I had just gotten a new sponsor, and I had met him here at this church. I had started coming to this church. I was very new to it. And one of the guys in the worship team played guitar. His name was Rich. He had 20 years clean, and I was led to him by somebody else. And prior to all this, my best friend was telling me, dude, you better get yourself in check. You're not right anymore. You're falling back into some old behavior. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm on top of this. I got a grip, man. And I had already worked my 12 steps, so I thought I was golden. You know, I had 7 years clean, 7.5 years clean. I can't relapse. I got this. Turns out you're not cured ever. You recover. But same with strawberries. If you're allergic to strawberries, as long as you don't eat them, you're fine. As soon as you eat one, you're going to break out.
That's right.
But if you don't eat them, you can recover. But of course, if you eat them, you're going to break out. Same theory. So I had gotten this new sponsor, and we were working on step 1, powerless. And ironically, during that step is when I go over there and take that hit. I'm powerless. Showed me I was powerless. So I called my sponsor. I said, you know, I did this. And he said, well, what do you got to do? I said, I have to go to a meeting, of course, and tell him myself. Well, as luck would have it, this sponsor, no. Scratch that, it's not luck. As God would have it, the sponsor that he put in my life was a Christian who was leading a pretty good Christian life and who intertwined my 12 steps with the Bible. Threw a little Christianity in there on my recovery. And I soaked it up. I was liking this. I started reading the Bible a little bit. I did a couple of reading plans, smaller ones, on the Bible app on my phone. And didn't understand much of it, but I did it. Because I knew if I just keep doing it, somewhere along the line, understanding will come. I started coming to church a lot. But still living dirty. You know, I still had girls in my apartment, you know, sleeping over, doing man stuff to them. And I started somewhere along the line to maybe feel a little bit of guilt. But I still did it, you know. And I would just say, well, you know, God will forgive me because He knows I'm not perfect. Jesus was perfect, and I'm not expected to be perfect. So that was my get out of jail free card. You know, that was my rationalization. Of course, I don't know if any of you guys know drug addicts, but we can rationalize with the best of them. We can rationalize anything. So I worked that 12 steps with my sponsor. Now, when I say God knew what was in my future, He did. And there was a reason why I took that hit and why I had to show powerlessness so that I dive into not only my 12 steps, but my Christianity. Because it was my Christianity that saved my life 2.5 years ago when my daughter was shot. That's where it all came down to. That's what it all came down to. If I would not have taken that hit, I would not have been prepared for what I went through when my daughter was killed. I would have either shot myself, I would have either, or gone out completely and just been a lifelong crackhead. Or I would have gone and killed the man who killed my daughter. I would have taken the law into my own hands. But God saw fit that I'm not going to be that kind of person. He's got a different plan for me. So He gave me the strength
Amen.
to get through it and to move on and do other things. And you know, I got baptized in this church. It was amazing. Truly amazing. When I come up out of that water, I felt lighter than a helium balloon. So much of any of the guilt and shame and just creepiness that I've ever had in my life was gone. I felt brand new at that moment. And I knew that was a special day when my dad was sitting in a chair in a church. I've never seen my dad in a church ever. He believes in God, but he will not walk into a church for anything. And he was here to see me get baptized. Danny, you said, you know, some guys find it hard to cry. Not me. Not me. I'll cry anywhere. And I cried that day looking at my dad. I even laughed. I turned around. You know, when they were singing the songs, I turned around and I said, hey, Dad, you know, you can sing as loud as you want. He just looked at me like, yeah, go ahead. And I still, you know, when I see him, Dad, you come to church, I come pick you up like 9:30. He's like, you got a better chance of seeing God today. And I won't quit. I'll keep trying, because you never know. Look at me, honestly. 11 years ago, a guy who didn't believe, and I'm here sharing a testimony about God. Remembering that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Amen.
You know, I always thought that I had to have a woman by my side, but when my daughter died, I wasn't able to, and I broke up with the woman who I was dating. I spent 9 months, 10 months, something like that, alone. And a good probably 7 months of that, nightly, in a fetal position, crying myself to sleep on my bedroom floor. I felt so freaking lonely. I could be in a room full of my best friends and family, and I just felt lonely. I hurt. And I wanted to hate the man who killed her. I wanted so deeply in my heart to hate him, and I could not. I could not. Either my daughter as an angel was touching my shoulder, or God himself was touching my shoulder or holding my heart. He did not want me to hate that man, and I could not. I tried. And so many people, of course, you know, we all know, oh man, you know, you gotta have him killed, and you, what kills you, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just give it to God, man. You're a better man than me. No, maybe I'm a better Christian today. But I'm just a guy who's going to get through this.
Amen.
And I'm not going to take the law into my hands. I do know people who are in the jail he's in. And at any given time, I could have things taken care of, and I won't. I refuse. I will not make that decision, because that's not what God has in store for me today.
Amen.
God will see that he gets what he gets.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, as I'm getting deeper into my Christianity, and I read a letter that he had sent my other daughter, and you know, a part of me is starting to almost feel forgiveness for him. And I tell you, a year ago, I'd have told you I'm never going to forgive him. That's where God is just going to have to leave me go, because I'm not going to. I refuse. And for some reason, I feel in my heart that I'm starting to. It's truly amazing. So about 10 months, I'm single, and you know, it's amazing the blessings that come, but what really feels good is when you can actually identify the blessings. A lot of people have blessings in their life and they can't even see it. They're all so negative. And I go to work one day and I get a call to change a tire for some lady down on Ohio River Boulevard. And I go down and I call her and I say, I'm on my way down. She goes, well, my son, he's on his way here and, he might be able to take care of it. And I said, well, you know what, we're really slow. I'm just going to head down that way anyway. And if you're still there, then, she's all right. So I get down there and the car's up on a jack. The spare tire's laying on the ground. But they're standing there looking at the car. They're like just looking at it like this. And the kid, he's like 23, 22. He's got flip-flops on. And he looks like he's half wrecked, like he was up half the night. EJ.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they're looking at it. And I said, so what's the problem? They said, the wheel won't come off. It's stuck. Really? Falls down. The look on EJ's face was priceless. So I go to put the spare one here, the spare is flat. So EJ has a pickup truck. I said, the spare from sitting so long is I said, put this in the back of your truck, run out to the gas station, put air in it, I'll wait here. When you get back, I'll put it on. He said, okay, so he took off. So give me about 20 minutes, I'm talking to this woman. And we had kind of said a little bit of where we were in life. Neither one of us was dating anybody. Neither one of us was looking to date anybody. And, I told her I was still mourning my daughter. I was probably about 10 months into mourning my daughter. And I could tell the way she was looking at me, it just wasn't just a casual look. You know what I mean? But I didn't really think about it. And you come back, put the tire on. I get up in my truck, I'm doing my paperwork, getting ready to leave, and she pulls up in the car next to me, and she's like, call me. So I call her. We go on our first date, our second date. And as it turns out, on our second date, she's a very active Christian woman. And she said to me what she's looking for is a spiritual leader, a true man of God. And I thought, that might not be me. I started going to church, maybe just a couple years ago. Ain't even read the Bible. Spiritual leader ain't me. The lady who's been in the Word for 26 years. Well, overwhelming. So now, of course, I am a tow truck driver and I've got some downtime. And we started going on dates, a lot of them, and we started spending a lot of time, and we really, really dug each other. She got me, and I got her, and she let me be who I was. I didn't have to impress her with anything. I wasn't in a place in my life where I was impressive. I was Bob trying to get through every day.
Still not Bob.
Thank you, Timmy.
I love you, brother.
So anyways, I was just, at that time, I was Bob, just trying to get through the day with this still picture in my head of what went on with my daughter. And, it was a facade. I had a big smile on my face, but inside it was just a giant frown and an empty spot. But as, in AA, they say a lot of times, fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. That's where I was at. I was faking it till I made it, because I know I had the strength of God was working, and I knew that. I knew if I just keep fighting, I'll be okay. So I really enjoyed spending time with this woman a lot, and I started thinking, maybe she's the one. Maybe God sent her to me for a reason. And she was still somewhat coming down off the mourning of her husband. Her husband had died 2 years prior to us meeting. And her parents had died a little bit prior to that. So, she was in a time in her life as well. And the way we met, I thought to myself, well, this was God's doing, That kid could have been able to change that tire. Meanwhile, I get there, he's in flip-flops. Can't get the tire off, really? And that's just not coincidence, So I started doing some research in my truck. I'd sit on my phone and how to be a good Christian leader, how to be a good Christian husband, how to be a good Christian boyfriend, how to date a Christian woman. And I was just soaking in all I can. For me, it was all about trying to be a better man, period. And if I was going to have a woman in my life, this was the kind of woman I wanted. I didn't want any more of the tramps, the meaningless women that I was with. Because honestly, I didn't feel anything. I didn't respect any of them. I didn't feel anything for them. They were basically my play toys. And I was theirs. I mean, it is what it is, you know. That was all about, come over, let's have fun. Okay, fun's over, bye-bye. You know. But this woman I respected, I wanted to know her. And I made a decision during dating her that there was going to be no sex. It was going to be a Christian relationship. I learned that reading. You know, first you have to, boom. You don't do that until you're married. Really? Okay, I can do that because I haven't done it in a year already because I was mourning, so this will actually be pretty easy. It's not. Not when you're really attracted to somebody and you ain't done it in a year. Not that easy. Here to tell you. But you know what? I got through it. I fought it. I fought the urges. I mean, we got close a couple times. But, you know, come right time, okay, I got to go home, bye-bye. And she hated to see me go. I mean, she told me there were times that she would cry at night when I left. I went home. Now there were times we did sleep in a same bed, apart, because she had gotten me into volunteering for exceptional adventures, and we would go on trips, and we would share a room, and we would share a bed, but we didn't fornicate. We made out, but we didn't fornicate. And I just really found myself drawing much closer. And the closer I drew to her, the more I wanted to be a godly man. I wanted to be her spiritual leader. It wasn't so overwhelming anymore. I said, you know what, I can do this. And for Christmas last year, she gave me a Bible. It was a daily devotional Bible. A one-year Bible. And I read it, the whole thing. 1 year, 2 months. Which I don't think is too bad for a 1 year Bible for a guy who didn't believe in God.
That's right.
And I finished it a few weeks ago, and I just got another 1 year devotional in the Message. Because this time I want to try to understand a little bit more of it. I didn't understand probably 70% of what I read in it. But I kept reading it. It's actually a pretty good book. Who'd have thought all that stuff was going on?
That's right.
The day I got that Bible, January 1st of 2014, I started tithing. Up until that point, I had $5 here, $10 there, you know, whatever I could afford. Because there were times I would struggle. I lived alone in an apartment and car payment and eating, things like that. But I started to tithe. I said, you know what? And I talked to her about it, and she explained it to me, and I started reading about it, and I said, you know what? I gave myself to God when I got baptized, and you know what? I might as well do this wholeheartedly, just give myself to God. And I did that, and I tried my best. I tried my best not to swear. You know, here and there, one little word will pop out, but I don't do it like I used to. The blessings are amazing. You know, once I started tithing, I was amazed. You know, I've heard it a million times. Oh, you do that and you'll never need for anything, and God got your back, and you'll be taken care of. And I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. I still only make $200 a week. How am I supposed to, you know? And so I started, and sure enough, things would happen just when I needed it. Not when I wanted it to. And I stopped actually, I shouldn't say I stopped, it started to go away times that I wanted things, as opposed to just thinking of things I might have needed. The wants were diminishing. And, you know, there were times where I would know my paycheck is coming in and certain bills that have to go out, but for some reason, right when it needed to, it just worked out.
Amen.
You know, I didn't have money to go out and splurge on new tires, but all my bills were paid. The needs. There was still food in my fridge, and the cat still had some food.
That's right.
So now I'm getting, you know, deeper into this relationship, and I'm contemplating marrying this woman. But I had a little bit of debt. And I started praying that I wanted to clear my debt before I get into a marriage. I didn't want to go into a marriage in debt. And also, one of the biggest things weighing on my shoulders was a headstone for my daughter. I wanted her to have a headstone. It had been over a year, and I had been dealing with an insurance company. Apparently, my daughter had had some life insurance through work, but the man who shot her was the beneficiary. I had talked to her dad, his dad, and I got him to sign off on any of his rights for that. But the insurance company wouldn't do anything until he was actually convicted of the crime. Now I'm figuring she worked at Rite Aid. It's probably a basic policy, maybe $5,000. That's enough for a headstone. That's all I wanted, just a headstone. And I told my other daughters, I said, you know, if something comes about this, you know, I'm going to buy the headstone, you guys can have the rest. I don't want any money. And I'm thinking a headstone costs like $5,000, $6,000 for a nice one, you know, and that was my baby girl.
Yeah.
I love all three of my daughters unconditionally more than anything in the world, but she was the one I liked. She was my baby. She was the one who I counted on that if I was still single when I was 80, I was living in her basement, she would take care of me. The other two would lock me in the basement. So, you know, we go to court, and of course he gets 40 years, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. His justice was served. Because by the time he gets out, he'll be an old guy, and he'll have to have had sat there and thought every day over what happened. And I didn't even want him to have the death penalty. Everybody's like, oh, he should get a death penalty. No. I think he needs to live for 40 years and think about it every single day. A death penalty gives him an easy out.
Yeah.
He only gets to think about it for a few months. That's not fair. God saw what was fair and gave him what he got. It's not my decision. So he was convicted, and I get a letter from this insurance company. And they said an account has been set up, and you will receive a passbook. And it's a lot of money. A lot. I was overwhelmed. I basically almost fell over. The first thing I did was call my sponsor. Because I didn't know what to think at first. And then, of course, the next phone call I made was my girlfriend. When you fully give yourself to God, I'm learning that if you really live your life right, not only are your needs taken care of, but the desires of your heart start to be taken care of. I was able to get a beautiful, beautiful headstone. I was able to give each of my other daughters $10,000. I was able to pay off all my debt, and I was still able to have a healthy bank account going
Amen.
into a new marriage.
Amen.
God has provided for me more than I could ever truly emphasize. I am so blessed every day, even though I've gone through, it was a rough road to get me here, my entire life. You know, I raised 3 daughters, and probably, you know, the second half of doing that, I was a drug addict. I wasn't there a lot. I provided for her, but I really wasn't there a lot. I was not a good husband. I cheated on my wife. I cheated on her on our wedding day. The only reason I married her is because I had children with her, and I didn't want my children to go through what I did as a child. I wanted them at least to have a mother and a father. Although, as it turns out, I wasn't the greatest father, but I was the best father that I could be at the time. And sometimes my kids still have a little bit of resentment towards me, and I can understand that. But I still just try to be a father. My oldest right now does not speak to me. She stole $750 off me, and I told her if she didn't pay me, I was taking her to the magistrate. So she had to pay me, and ever since she paid me, I'm not welcome in her house anymore. And that's fine. I gave it to God. God, you deal with her, because I'm done. I raised her. I did what I could. You know, I tried to be there and help her, and she was so unappreciative. You know, I always told my Liz, that was my baby that died, I always said, you know, you and your sisters, you need to get a band. Liz and the Ungratefuls. Elizabeth and the Ungratefuls make a good band. She'd like, Dad, quit it. You know, I miss her so much every day. But, you know, the struggle's getting less and less every day, too. Today I can actually think about her and look at her pictures, and I don't break out sobbing. My heart hurts still. But I can talk about her openly. You know, some people ask questions, and I have no problem answering them. It doesn't hurt. It actually feels good to be able to talk about her, because I don't want her forgotten. I don't ever want her forgotten. This here is the last gift she ever gave me. She gave me this on Father's Day, Serenity Prayer. I haven't taken it off since. Only one time it came off, so when the chain broke, I had to get a new chain. I'll wear it until Dad died.
Amen.
I've got a memorial to her, tattoo. I have a memorial to God. I am second. I keep this right here where I see it all the time. I am second. I will never, ever forget. God and others first. I am second. For a man who 11 years ago, he heard the word God walked away, it's truly a miracle that I'm sitting here in a church being admired by a pastor. You have no idea how that makes my heart feel. And to see so many guys come out here, I've never seen as many guys in our men's ministry. Am I wrong? And there's still pizza left.
They came to hear me.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Oh.
Just kidding. Yeah, I'm just, like I said, I'm just so blessed. I have a job that I love to do. I've been offered more money to do other jobs, but you know what? I'm a tow truck driver. That's who I am, tow truck Bob. I love what I do. I love helping people. And what's really awesome is, one of my favorite parts of the job, honestly, is when people get in my truck and they hear K-Love. And they're like, what is that you're listening to? That'd be Christian music. Really? Yes. And you know, I've had a few people say to me, you know, I have a sign on my dashboard that says, tips accepted. And I've had some people say, you know, I have no cash on me, I wish I could, and I wish I could. And I'm like, no, you know what, I'm very blessed, don't even worry about it. I said, but just do me a favor. And they said, what? I said, well, take the K-Love challenge. Put it on for 30 days and see if you go back in 30 days. I've been doing that for maybe 2 years. You know, 2 people have called me a couple months later and said, you know what, thank you, you've changed my life.
Oh. Wow. Awesome.
Just by putting on that radio.
Awesome.
People don't expect to hear that music on in a tow truck with a guy with tattoos and his hair, like, because when I go to work, I wear a CPAP mask, and I take my shower at night, so the mask comes off, so my hair, when I go to work, is like this, and I could care less. 10 years ago, you know, I don't leave the house unless, you know, all the hair's in place. Today, I don't even care. So I'm a wreck. I look a mess. I have clean clothes, but you know, they jump up in the truck and they see a guy like that, and they hear that he's praising God all day long. I got a Caleb sticker on the back window of my truck. You know, it's awesome to be able to testimony to other people. It's an awesome feeling, you know, when I look over and I see their hand tapping to their leg to the music. You know, it brightens their day a little bit. And you know, they'll sit there and tell me how bad their day sucked and the car broke and the wife's screaming and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it can always be worse, brother. It could be pouring down the rain and you could be stuck on a 2-lane road with no shoulder. And they're like, you're right. So I just put a little bit more sunshine in their day. You know, I lightened up the fact that they're broken down. I didn't let them think so much of the negative, but today I just try to put the positive in people's life. Even though I've got so much negative 2.5 years ago to think, you know, it's hard for anybody to get an excuse by me today. Ever since my daughter died, my perception of life is completely different. You know, we got these guys that I work with, and they're such whiners and babies, and, you know, I got this going on, I'm like, I don't want to hear it, dude. That's trivial. Everything to me is just, today, honestly, I have no problems. I have a situation once in a while, but there are no problems. Problems are only what you make of it.
Yeah.
It's only a problem if you think it's a problem. If you just think it's a situation and you take care of it, then you have no problems.
That's right.
You know, you got a grown man, he's 35 years old, and he can't get up with an alarm clock to come to work on time? I don't want to hear it. I'm up at 5 a.m. without an alarm clock every morning. You can't make it to work on time? Really?
Right.
How are you going to support your kids like that? I just, sometimes I don't get it, and it tries my patience, but I just say,